What's going on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aidan, and welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk about the challenging West, where we are heading right now. The Chicago Bulls are going to be fighting a lot of teams out in the West, and hopefully we can come back from the West with a really positive standing, a really positive record. And again, this will define us as a team, how we escape this Western Conference trip. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls Western Conference trip. Now, in this Western Conference trip, we've got 5 games to worry about. The Golden State Warriors, the LA Clippers, and the LA Lakers on a back-to-back, the Portland Trailblazers, and the Denver Nuggets. There are really strong teams there, ladies and gentlemen. None of them we should be taking lightly, because we are in a predicament here where if we come out of this trip with, let's say, a 3-2 record or a maybe 4-1 record, who knows, something like that, a positive record, this will truly define us as a really good team, and this will definitely carry us momentum to go out and compete in the East. Because everybody knows that when you're traveling for a long period of time, for around 10 weeks, something for around 10 days or 2 weeks, we all know that it's a very difficult stretch of games, and not all the time will you see the best of the Chicago Bulls. The Western Conference trips will be one of the hardest trips that the Chicago Bulls will go out and travel in. And I'm not sure how many times we'll get to see this, but at the end of the day, we will go to the Western Conference right now, and we will play 5 games away from home. Now, this is the place, this is the time where the Chicago Bulls, all the chemistry that they've been working on, all the time that they spent with each other, all the practices that they've made when it comes to training and in-game, all of this has to come together now, because if they can survive this trip, we are in a fantastic stretch, a fantastic standing in the Eastern Conference at the moment. Now, of course, with the news that Nikola Vucevic will be out for majority of this trip, if not all of this trip in the Western Conference, does play a big factor in how we could potentially succeed in this Western Conference trip. But nevertheless, as I mentioned in that video, and as I will say in this video, we must keep pushing forward, and we must move on, and we must try and win every game possible in this Western Conference trip. A reason why this is a very important trip is because this is our first trip away from home this season. We've seen a lot of games where we've played at home. Majority of our games have been played at home, or at least in the Eastern Conference, where it's not too much of a travel distance between where we are and where the other team is. When we're going out west and playing 5 away games in a row, this is the first time we've seen that from the Chicago Bulls. And obviously we know we are a pretty decent home team. We know that we could get the energy up, the crowd up, the fans up. We could get all of that in home, and we can do a lot of things that we might not be able to do away from home at the United Center, which is a positive stretch by all means. Playing at home, defending home court is what a team should be doing. But the Western Conference is definitely far from home. It's definitely a place where we're not going to be the most liked team. We're not going to be the most watched team. We're not going to be the most cheered team. We are going to have our backs against the wall. We are in enemy territory. The first time we've been there this season. So it's good to see, interesting to see how our players will fight back from a situation like that. And it's good to know that we're going to have someone that's been through it all before, ladies and gentlemen, in DeMar DeRozan on the team. I think he's going to be very important for this Western Conference trip, and hopefully he can step up and perform in ways that we might need him to be, because the Western Conference will be a tough place to go. He knows the West just as much as anybody, and he could definitely step up for the Chicago Bulls. Another player that will know the West is Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball has been playing the West his whole career, from the Lakers to the Pelicans. He's seen what the West can do. He's seen what the West is provided by. And let's see if those 2 players can step up in that Western Conference trip. I think we're going to need both of them, because they both know the West. And of course, this is the first time we'll be traveling out West for this season. And obviously, we all know that this is a very hard stretch of games. I think we all came into this season in November with the anticipation of this month, because the Western Conference trip is always something to look forward to. At the end of the day, you don't get to see these teams very often. The Warriors will only see twice. The Clippers, Lakers, we see twice. Portland, we see twice. And obviously Denver, we see twice. We're not going to see these teams very often. So this is a brand new experience for us. We get to see brand new matchups, brand new teams, brand new styles of play. And the Western Conference is very unpredictable right now. The up and down momentum of the Western Conference. Again, things change on a daily basis when it comes to that team. Obviously, the East is surprising. You didn't expect teams like the Cavs to be where they are, the Wizards to be where they are. You didn't expect the Bucks to kind of have a slow start to the season. All of those situations, you just didn't expect it to happen. But at the moment, the Western Conference is just as unpredictable as anything I've ever seen. So we could come into this Western Conference trip versus some teams that are not really up to the level of what they should be. We walk out this Western Conference trip, we survive, we have a positive record, we move forward. Or we could verse a Western Conference trip where we're versing the best of the Warriors, the best of the Clippers, the best of the Lakers, even Portland when they're at their best, and Denver's obviously a great team at their best. We might be experiencing that. It's a very unpredictable stretch of games, but I am walking into this very confident, ladies and gentlemen, for a number of reasons. One, I've seen what the Chicago Bulls can do against some pretty good teams this season. Obviously, they've been at home, the Brooklyn Nets, the Dallas Mavericks, the Utah Jazz, even teams like Boston, Toronto. Those teams are not doing terribly bad at the moment. And at the end of the day, I've seen what we could do against good teams, and all it comes down to for me is which players are going to step up when we need them, because our defense will be strong enough to keep us in these games. Who's going to be the guy or the multiple people that will step up while we need that fourth quarter stretch, or while we have to dominate in the fourth quarter to get a win? Or if we are dominating, who's going to be the leader defensively to make sure they don't come back? That's what I'm worried about, because at the end of the day, with Vucevic being out, we do lose a core component offensively and defensively. I know defensively we don't give him credit, but he is a top leader in deflections for this team, in my opinion. He's a big reason for how many deflections that we get. So we do lose someone there. We bring in Marco, which maybe he could potentially play in this team, and maybe that's something we could also see as valuable if he could step up. But we do lose a lot of offense. We do lose a key component. So other players will have to step up, and in tight situations, we have to rely on other players to really bring the dominance of the game. We really need someone to step up and play in the fourth quarter and do very, very well for the team. And that's what I'm worried about. That's the type of situation that we put ourselves in now. And hopefully we see that. Hopefully we see the Zach LaVines, the DeMars, the Lonzos, even players off the bench, maybe like a Caruso. All these players are going to have to step up. And I'm really excited to see if we can do it. Let's see what the Chicago Bulls could do, and let's see how this Western Conference trip goes. But that's why it's important. It's the first time we're going to go out west. It's the first time we're going to have 5 games away from home. It's the first time where we have some really big injury concerns, or like, I guess, a key component of the team out. Outside of Coby White, he wasn't really here, but he might return, which is good. Obviously, Nikola Vucevic is a big part of the team, and he's going to be out. So our backs are now against the wall. We started off very well, but can we continue to keep up that momentum now that things are now going against us? And it's been like this all the time. It seems like every time something goes well for the Bulls, something bad does happen, and hopefully we don't see any more bad news come our way. But let's see the Chicago Bulls through all of this. If we walk out of this Western Conference trip and we end up doing very, very well, I think many people would be absolutely ecstatic, considering everything that's gone poorly in relation to the Chicago Bulls this time around with Nikola Vucevic. I think everybody's going to be absolutely excited, ecstatic, and just pure happiness will be on their face, because we've been through a really tough stretch of games, arguably our toughest of the season, and we've walked out of it very, very well. We've walked out of it very positively, and not only that, we didn't have it with our best team. That will probably give people much, much more confidence going into the end of the regular season and in the playoffs as well, because I feel like we are going to make the playoffs. So it's something that's very positive. It's something to keep your hat on, and hopefully we can end up seeing this be the case. Hopefully we can walk out of the West positively with things not necessarily going our way in other areas. Let's wait and see. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. It's just a little bit of a smaller video today, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously the Nikola Vucevic news is still pretty bad to see, and we have to wait and see how it goes. That's all I could really say. Hopefully he can come back a little bit earlier, but if not, we've got to take it on the chin and move on. Take care. And